All right, another Crossroads podcast. This is my number 47, I think. Back with my brother, James Lafountain. What's up, dog?
Sir, what's up?
Dude, we've
Chilling.
been, hell yeah, dude. We just been chatting on the phone here and there, huh?
hmm
Yeah, usually about once a week or every couple weeks, we say what up.
For sure. Yeah.
You've been busy, huh? Just working all the time?
Yeah, I've been pretty busy working, then just doing music shit when I can, taking care of business.
I did see you release stuff for that on the way down. Was that what you call it or what?
Yeah, that last song that I put out.
Yeah.
Yep. hmm
I think I seen something on TikTok.
Yeah, I put like a little snippet of it on TikTok.
With like an animated falling guy. It was like pixely or something.
Yeah, it was like all glitching out type shit.
Dude, that was dope. I thought that was rad.
For sure.
Was that the last one you released?
Yeah.
You got plans for new ones? You sitting on some gold or you just cooking up a new batch?
I mean, I'm sitting on a few, but
Sitting on some silver?
right.
Platinums?
I don't know. I mean, there's some shit, but yeah, I'm just still working all the time, just trying different shit out. And
Sound wise?
yeah, pretty much.
Like with your beat production or like mix and mastering, engineering?
I mean, like all that shit.
True that. I was thinking today, man, I was like, I don't think I'll ever hit a point where I'm like, all right, this is my method. I always do this. Because I'm like, no, dude, I think it's just like an ever learning.
For sure. I mean, like mixing and mastering, that shit goes hand in hand because like that's a creative thing too, just like making the decision to do this with the drums or whatever,
Yeah.
it's a musical choice, that has everything has its intended effect,
Oh yeah. Say like you take say some trap music, those 808s, that deep bass and sub bass and stuff, and then you take like
right.
I think of like Metallica and Justice for All, where people be like, yeah, the bass was like turned down a lot. Or just certain records where maybe the bass isn't highlighted as much. And I guess mix and mastering for each project is kind of different.
For sure. Yeah, different genres have different kind of like standards for mixing. Yeah, I mean,
what do you think your favorite genre to produce is? Do you have a favorite or a top three probably?
I would say like the funnest shit to produce is probably like just like kind of the real like organic sound and shit, like real drums, kind of like funky type shit.
Hell yeah. You mean like an acoustic drum sound, or
I mean just more like boom bap type shit, like that shit's
I do
fun.
love boom bap. I
mean,
dude, simplicity too. Like I love how a boom bap can be a simple like beat and rhythm, but certain boom bap beats hit differently too, depending on that kick sound or that snare.
Yep.
Whatever.
For sure. Yeah.
I like trap a lot too.
Yeah.
And those are two different, like the hi-hats of the trap.
Yep. And the tempos too, like I kind of mix in the two sometimes, where it's like the tempo is kind of in between where like trap and boom bap would be, and the drums are kind of like not really boom bap or trap.
True that.
Just like a good mix of both, with like the tempo and the drums.
Yeah, you also produce some like kind of EDM and pop stuff. I mean, you definitely produce a pop.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
You're actually really dope with the synth. Like, you make some dope synth licks.
Yeah, just as far as like the fun shit to produce, like that shit's super fun. I think just really, really like catchy pop type shit.
Yeah, dude, I found some of those old Space Signal songs, and every once in a while, I'm like, man, I lost some, but I'm like, dude, these are like some of these are like, I'm like, dude, this is a total like club song.
For sure.
And yeah, man, it's cool. Producing beats is a pretty addicting thing. You use FL Studio. Is that what you're gonna stick to, you think?
I don't know. I mean, it's getting better all the time, but I've never really tried anything else out. So
yeah, dude. I mean, I'd like to get some more physical drum pads.
Yep.
Dude, what you should get, what I'm looking into is more of the pads to play with sticks.
Yeah.
And they'll have like kick pedals and a hi-hat pedals.
Yeah, my cousin has one of those. He doesn't have the hi-hat pedal, I don't think.
I wouldn't even be too concerned about the hi-hat pedal, personally.
For sure, yeah.
It would be dope to have, but the kick would be nice.
Yeah, he has the kick and the pad, and it makes such a difference because like otherwise you have to play the kick with the stick,
Yeah, and it's like, oh man, it doesn't even feel like normal.
No, it don't feel the same. It doesn't feel right.
Right.
Because yeah, I've been trying to get him to record some drums on some stuff because he's super good.
Nice.
But yeah, it's just hard to like find the time and all that.
Yeah, true that. And that's the other thing I like about them too, is they're quiet. You can plug them in and yeah, I just think it would be also fun to like the trap beats, the hi-hats, stuff of, trap, those sprinkler sounds. But yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, I'll go through like phases, and I'm sure you do too, where you'll just do a bunch of like a certain style.
Yeah.
And then you're just like,
I like lo-fi too.
For sure.
Just that like chill hop, like just like vibey, like.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing about like that style too, is the drums sound better when they are a little more simple. Like they could be technical like with like fills and stuff like that, but dude, if you just have like a simple ass drum beat and just like a piano, like it fucking sounds dope no matter what.
Dude, oh my god, when I realized how good simple music sounds, I was like, god, why didn't I realize this before? Like, or I'll event, and then it's the same thing of like I'll just go back through and like start deleting stuff in a multi-track, or building a song.
Right.
Like, oh my god, there's way too many sounds here.
It's super hard to get something to sound good like that. Like everything's got to have its own little space and pocket and all that.
So do you work with panning at
all? I mean, I do, with like, just as far as like stereo separation, like that, just like throwing like something in like a little bit more mono. Like say you got like I don't know, I do it a lot with piano because it kind of makes it feel more like behind you almost, like in the headphones and in the speakers. Like you throw out like anything in mono is going to sound like kind of like a little, I don't know, if you just fuck with that, like certain sounds, it kind of makes sense to have like the opposite way, like super wide, like some strings or something like that, or like some pad or something.
Oh yeah, true that.
I fuck with that a lot. Panning, I'll do that with like perks in my drums.
Vocals at all?
Yeah, if I have doubles, I'll like if it's on a hook or something, I'll pan
Yeah,
the
true
vocal.
that. On the hook, give it a little spread of some sort.
Guitar too, like if you're recording like live guitar, like just record a take, record another take like of the exact same thing, and then pan one 100% left, one 100% right, and it just sounds super dope.
Dude, I'm gonna have to experiment more with all these just different sounds. And sometimes when I go on those tangents of like, yo, I'll produce a whole bunch in this style, or maybe there's a few in between, then it's like organizing them into potential, kind of an album or a collection, and I bet you've been stocking up, because I've seen at times I was like, dude, James got like hundreds of beats here.
Yeah.
Even the unfinished ones, I'm like, dude, if you got 20 good seconds, you can do a lot with that, potentially. Yeah.
I mean, it's tons and tons, bro. Like, and that's the thing too, is like it kind of sucks to like look through all those projects and files and be like, man, a lot of these are unfinished and shit. But like if you keep that shit and you have that like on a hard drive or on your computer or whatever, like if you're up in the studio or like over somewhere, like even just thinking about collabing with someone, like,
yeah, you can pull it out. You got that archive, or like just pull it out and see if you can work with it, or just to go through them a bunch and be like, am I vibing with this right now? Am I vibing with this?
Or even like if you're going through some like creative block type shit, that always helps me, just like going back and listening to some of the shit, like even completed shit,
True that. Yeah. I mean, you probably have a lot of completed stuff too that has just not been, to the point of sharing and properly or whatever. I mean, sometimes sharing properly, I don't know what that means really, but because you could just share something on the internet and post it, but there's a science to it or something, sort of. People have it like of a formula.
Yeah, I mean, YouTube is one, because that's the only one where like I'll post something, like post a video of a beat or whatever, and somehow people just find it,
Yeah, true that. Yeah, I think YouTube is probably my favorite thing to use, honestly.
Yeah.
I am on Facebook, but it gives me anxiety. I communicate with people that I actually know more on Facebook.
Right.
Actually, I don't really.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. But YouTube is really the one that I dig. I don't know what you like for social medias nowadays. I don't even know if YouTube's considered a social media. Is it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was locked out of my YouTube account for a long time.
Why? Password? Forgot your password?
Yeah, I forgot my password to my iCloud, and Apple makes it hella hard to like change your password on shit.
Oh, I have like Droids and Windows. I don't have any Apple.
Yeah,
I used to. But
it was an old account though, like but yeah, like you try to change your password and they make you wait like 9 days or something to like verify some shit.
Yeah, man, that's the problem I've had. And even with all these multiple social medias, I'm like, dude, I don't even care about all these. I just want my YouTube to be good. Basically,
Yeah.
you know.
I mean, I definitely should start posting there.
On YouTube.
Cause yeah, I mean, I was posting on Instagram,
Hmm.
which is cool, but I don't know. Instagram's not my favorite.
I don't use it that much. I don't know why I don't. Like I'll post on Instagram and then it'll like transfer to my Facebook. So it's another
Mhm.
way for me to stay off of Facebook.
Yeah, I
But
think
I don't know. I don't really dig it that much. You know?
I think that's the thing is like I'm pretty sure Facebook is dying and kind of Instagram, by extension would be dying too.
Well, yeah,
Just
whatever they got going with the meta now, I'm like, I don't know what y'all ultimate plan is, but it's probably not good.
I mean, yeah, dude, I don't know about all that. But
I mean, it'll be cool, whatever. I mean, I don't know.
I don't know, like I mean, I think virtual reality is cool, but that shit already exists, like VR chat and shit like that, you know?
Well, yeah, I mean, once it gets, obviously to the like Black Mirror neurological sense where it's like, yo, if it, you know,
Right.
I mean, there's
Oh,
people
for
out
sure.
there, the virtual porn's probably got people out the wazoo. They got the sex bots and everything nowadays. And I'm
Oh
like,
yeah.
whoa, dude, we're going deeper into this, you know.
I think it's gonna be full cyberpunk.
Yeah, probably. And just the way it'll alter this reality, because I bet the NFTs will be like a big thing in that more like digital world or something.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, that's what
but
they're hoping.
oh, see, I was even saying today, I was like, man, it's kind of one of those things where I'm like, I feel like I got to be part of some like elite club in Silicon Valley to like be a part of these things and like understand and because I'm like, man, these guys are like ahead of the game and they're running it. They're the ones doing pump and dumps and creating all this weird stuff.
Right.
So
I mean, yeah, like when you got that much money to play with, like you are kind of controlling shit. Like it's kind of the same thing with art, like all these super rich motherfuckers paying like, you know, fucking $400 million for like a blue line and shit.
dude, I'm trying to paint that shit myself and
I
be
mean,
like,
it's cool, but it's like at that amount of money, it's more about like clout type shit.
oh, for sure. I was telling Kayliana today about Venmo. We were talking about Venmo.
Mhm.
Do you have Venmo?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. And I dig it. Although sometimes I didn't, but I dig it. Um, but I was like, yo, this public transaction thing, like, you get to be able to see other people's transactions and what they're spending their money on.
Oh, I know.
I'm
What's up
like,
with
I
that?
don't want that to be shared.
You can hide that, but
Yeah, I
yeah,
do. I hit the little private thing.
the fact that that's even a thing is pretty weird.
And so I'm thinking about, I'm like, who does that? And I'm like, oh yeah, the rich people also that are like, how much did you tip the caddy at the golf course today?
Right.
Oh, Jonathan tipped him $1,000 or whatever, where they're like, I didn't spend enough money today. I was trying to spend 20,000. I only spent 10,000
Right.
or whatever. I don't know.
For sure.
I'm
Yeah.
not part of, I was not, I don't understand that world.
No, I mean, like I said, when you have that much money to play with, you know, all these things become like different games, like money games.
True that. Yeah, it is interesting. And, you know, that's another thing I was even kind of talking to this counselor about, was how I'm like, yeah, I want to hit these levels of success, right?
Yep.
Hell yeah, I want to get rich and successful and chasing the fame. I definitely admit that. Hell yeah. I don't know why, it's just, I don't know. But then also we've talked about that imposter syndrome stuff
Right.
of feeling like I don't deserve that. Why do I think I'm worth that? Or,
Yeah,
and
for sure.
I don't know, being out in Hollywood this past year, we could kind of see that, there's like the glitz and the glamour and the nice houses up here. And there's the Hollywood sign and the stars that, they're like got millions or something. And then there's like, all these bum tents all over the place.
Right.
And it's just so crazy to see that spectrum.
Yep.
And then you see the Scientology Celebrity Center.
For real.
Man, what's going on here? But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it is crazy because it's just, I think a lot of that shit with like imposter syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I feel like it can come from like just growing up, like being poor,
Mm-hmm.
and you're not used to getting shit, like, or even being involved with like different money moves, like people even talking about that type of shit, or
Yeah, and feeling like I don't belong in this conversation.
like
Like I want to, but this guy's over
right,
here talking about dropping way more money, or just, yeah, it's one of those things like if you're not used to that environment.
like I seen this shit. I didn't read the article, but it was just like a screenshot or some shit. This lady bought her 16-year-old son, like 3 houses, rented 2 of them out so he would have like passive income, and like bought him an LLC, and just like
Oh, set him
totally
up.
totally set him up, and which is cool and shit. But you just, I don't know, when you get older, you really realize how much, I was thinking about this earlier today too, just like how much that shit really affects you as a
Human,
person.
your
Yeah, and just
psychological like
for sure, dude.
beliefs of what you can even like do in life.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And just general attitude, just walking around like just the whole cliche of like, rich kids being like all entitled and shit. Like they actually believe that shit, that like they deserve everything, like
You expect me to wipe my own ass? What is
yeah, dude. I
uh
mean, that's real shit.
yeah, true that, man. Yeah, and that's it's like that Weezer song, Beverly Hills.
Yeah.
And they say like something that you're born into, and I just don't belong.
Right.
And it's like, because I do believe that even still in life that we'll still reach high levels of success and be able to go travel again on another adventure. And um and this is another thing I'll be talking to the therapist about, is the like, because I'm like starting to realize like, yeah, I was also seeking like approval from all these people and being like, I want to be loved. I want
Yep.
you to love me.
Right.
And just stuff like that too, or feeling like proving yourself in a way, and just stuff like that, or searching for acceptance. And I'm like, well, I gotta change my outlook on these types of things, sort of, and
Yeah. I mean,
try to go about it differently or something. I don't know.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that though, like, because especially for artists, there's a lot of artists where, and you see it a lot in rap too, where like their first big project or something like that. I mean, even fucking Wiz Khalifa, like I'm pretty sure his very first project was called Show and Prove.
Mm-hmm.
So he's kind of like showing off and like proving himself, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so like for artists, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Like until you get that first like real big dose of of like people fucking with you, you know.
Yeah.
Like that's what you're kind of like working for, right?
Yeah. And so kind of the other things that we talked through is like, so you get that dose, things are going good. You're rolling, you're in motion, you're gaining momentum and gaining success. And you want your peers to be like, hell yeah, they're like attaining success. They're doing good and, being successful. And then how that affects people of like, because some people out there will be happy for you. Some people will be like, fuck, I hate this music. I don't know what, or, I don't like this art. I don't like you or what you stand for. There's going to be people out there like that.
Yep.
Or, just you expose yourself to judgment of do they like it or not? And just stuff like that.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, I think it's like depending on what level of like recognition or like fame or whatever, you know, like how many people really know about you. Because the more, if you're like just everywhere and shoved in people's faces all the time, like that type of famous, like that's bringing on a whole new level of hate. But if you're just like out there and like people know about you and shit, but you just do your thing and put good shit out, you know, like people are gonna fuck with it.
Yeah, true that. And so yeah, just trying to kind of like self-reflect, but also try to understand people and society more and just kind of where everybody's head's at nowadays.
Right.
I don't know, we've hit a pretty interesting point with the world.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, I don't really pay that much attention.
Yeah, I just try to get a sense of like general vibe, you know.
Yeah, for sure. Like the stuff in Russia and all that happening now.
Right.
You paying a lot of attention to that or what?
No, not a whole lot. Like I'll see shit on Reddit and just random, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't get too deep into it because I'm like, and thankfully nowadays I think I'm pretty out of the conspiracy theory rabbit hole.
Oh yeah, dude.
I feel like
I'm happy for you.
Yeah, I finally made it out of Wonderland. No.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, I have been on this bipolar medication for like a month now.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm up to this like full dosage I'm supposed to be on.
Right.
So that's cool. It's like a bipolar medication, lamotrigine.
Right.
So it's basically supposed to kind of help me from going too down the dark thought road.
Right.
Or just balance the high highs and low lows.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know if that has any effect on the rabbit holes, but I don't know. I just feel like I kind of already went through them all too.
For sure. I mean, there's always new ones, you know, like
well, I'm gonna find them now.
I can give you some, man, if you're bored with all of them.
What, you got new ones?
I mean, no, not really, but just shit like,
I mean, it's like if you read more up on Freemasonry, you'll be like, oh shit, I'm deeper now. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing is like, yeah, it just goes deeper and deeper.
Yeah, true that.
But I mean, it's just depends on how much time you spend on it, you know, like every once in a while I'll check out like, I mean, just random conspiracy subreddits, you know, even though they're fucking terrible. They're like not like well-run places or anything.
Right.
Every once in a while you'll come across something that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, you know, I like the weird ones.
For sure.
Mainly, I'm like, the ones about like 9/11 was an inside job. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. But I'm like, what about the lizard people?
Right.
But what I find interesting about that, and this is even what I've talked to the counselor about. So the first day I go in there, I'm sitting in the waiting room, right? And there's a magazine that's about conspiracy theories. And I'm like, yeah, this is probably just kind of a good psychological like analysis. Probably leave this one in here a lot. But so I bring that up with them about how, you know, it's like not only conspiracy theories, but like the ancient stuff.
Right.
You know, like if you're looking into the origin or, you know, Egypt, Sumerians, Aztec, you know, and you start to think, well, what was their belief system about and why did they believe this or whatever?
Right.
It's just interesting.
For sure. I mean, I think there's a reason why conspiracies are so big, or conspiracy theories, you know. I mean, I know what it's like, and I'm pretty sure you know what it's like, where you're just like, you get so deep into something and you're like basically just like binging hard on this one thing.
I have.
But like, yeah, for sure. But like the feeling is kind of that you're like, you're up on something that everyone else isn't. And you're really like figuring some shit out when, you know, you might be like onto something, but what are you gonna fucking do, you know? Like,
dude, yeah, I've known that feeling because that's where this like savior complex or God complex thing kind of will come into play, where it's like, I need to awaken other souls. I'm woke now. I must awaken you. Or, you know,
right.
Like there's movements like that where they're like, I'm a star seed light worker, and I'm here to, you know.
Yeah, and that's, I think, one of the main problems with like conspiracy theories is people like that, you know, that like, for one, treat other people like shit because they are like
they're not woke enough or something.
Yeah, or yeah, and but just the fact that like they're so annoying with how they try to like tell other people, you know.
They can be really aggressive and make people feel like, oh, you're stupid or lower than me. So when I was going down these rabbit holes and be like information overload, a lot of times I was also abusing substances,
Right.
using them all the time because that's just the way I get to be, you know. It's in my like genetic code. Maybe not. Maybe it's just something I developed, but you know, my family doesn't have a history. But the reason that's dangerous is because I would feel like, oh, I'm learning the truth.
Right.
And be like, oh, I'm awakening to these new levels of understanding, and no way, I can't believe this. And then, you know, so like you say, I'm digging. I got to get to the bottom of this, and nobody else knows about this. I must turn them on. Then I would question it and be like, am I becoming more woke and like my mind is becoming free? Or am I just being brainwashed and this is all to just keep me asleep?
Right.
You know,
I mean, if you just
like
look
propaganda-ish.
if you just, yeah, right. I mean, if you look at it from the outside and just kind of look at it like you're studying that type of behavior, you know, like
that's a good way to look at it.
You would know that this person is like, you know, stuck on their computer, on YouTube or whatever for just hours on end, hopping on Facebook, arguing with people and shit. Like that doesn't seem like woke, you know?
Yeah, and what's interesting is when I would first see a lot of these movements coming out, like the flat Earth movements and stuff like that, even though there might be ancient stuff about it, all that stuff aside, because there's ancient shit about all kinds of shit, fish people and blah blah blah, and
Right.
it looked a lot like to me that these people were also sporadic, chaotic, almost like schizophrenic seeming, like where it's like, look, I can kind of like get what you're saying, but it's like it's basically down that road of everywhere you look, that's all you see.
For sure.
Like it's taken over your mind.
Yep.
And
but you can, I don't know, like if you just recognize that a big part of that is just our brains are meant to like pick up on patterns on shit.
Oh, you read that book? How did you finish that one book?
What, the
Atomic
Habits? Yeah. I read it.
So how was it ultimately?
I liked it. I actually bought it so I could read it again. I haven't reread it, but I liked it. My cousin, she's reading it and she was saying she didn't like it because he just repeats things a lot, but it's more of like at the end of every chapter it'll be like a kind of just like a wrap up of everything, but I don't know, I thought it was good. There's a lot of good shit in there, and I just like reading shit like that.
An actual book too?
Yeah,
not just like on your phone.
Yep.
Yeah, there's something about that too. I love that feeling. It's like I'm just kind of old school. Sometimes I'll read stuff on my phone. Like one day, dude, I like, for some reason, I think my TikTok fed me some guy that's like, look at these ancient tablets or something, and he's like, this is the history of the world and the human origins or whatever. And I'm like, huh? Well, this is interesting. And I look, and he's like, yeah, check it out on Amazon. I'm like, damn, dude, this book's like $1,600.
Holy fuck.
And I'm like, I just was like, well, I'll just go, click the PDF and download that.
Yeah.
And it was like thousands of pages.
Wow.
And I was like, holy shit, dude, they had all kinds of stuff. I was like, dude, this is crazy. Like crazy, actually, where they would talk about all these different beings from other worlds and planet Earth, and kind of what all these beings are doing through time. And I'm like, I don't know if this is like the truth or nothing, but it is kind of fascinating.
For sure. Yeah.
And I mean, yeah.
I mean, that is the cool thing about like digital shit, is you can find some weird, crazy shit like that on the internet. You're not going to find that at fucking Barnes and Nobles,
Yeah, dude, for real. And that makes me think about like the psychedelic experience too. And kind of what I thought was fascinating is about, and it's all the mind, like what is within the mind already.
Right.
That fascinates me.
Yep.
Because I'm like, what if our brains did already have like all this stuff within it that we weren't really tapped into, but if we could unlock these things in our brain, I don't know, like if they really say that, 10% of your brain or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what kind of got me thinking about like how earlier we're talking about just your childhood and how much that your like your formative years, how much that affects you as an adult for the rest of your life. What I was thinking about was just like just some people's attitudes in general, just like their base level attitude. Some people's is just different, you know, like you see some people and you're like, man, how are you like that?
Yeah, like they wake up in the morning and they're like, either like, oh god, fucking another day in the life. Fuck, I hate my life. This shit sucks.
Yeah.
The cereal, is this all we got? Oh no, you know, and then there's the other person like, woo, I am so stoked. Are you kidding me? This day is awesome. And
even if like even if you fake it though, you know, like some people you could tell they're kind of faking it, you know, but it's better than being around someone who's fucking complaining all the time. Like,
yeah. Dude, yeah, for sure. It's interesting. Okay, maybe I've told you about this crosswalk guard out here in Helena.
Oh.
We were working like a farmer's market or like some little festival thing. Kay's doing airbrush tattoos, you know, and every time I'd go by this guy, I'm like, hey, how's it going? And he'd be like, terrible. And then, you know, I see like some kid running across the walk with their parents, you know, and he's like, don't run. If you fall, I would feel terrible.
Right.
So I'm like, oh, this is probably one of his like vocabulary words that he uses all the time. And I wonder how that affects his life and his perception on life. Like if everything's always terrible or what.
Right. For sure. Yeah. Like, I mean, it's I think that's one of those big things too, is like just that self-talk, you know,
Power of words type stuff.
Yeah. And just kind of like what I was saying about like some people's base level of attitudes and outlook on life, you know, like some people's self-talk is generally just more, maybe not positive, but just like not negative, you know, like, because having negative self-talk running through your head all day, like, you know, that can affect all sorts of shit, you know, like.
Yeah, so that's what I'm gonna talk to this dude about. I've been talking to a counselor about. He's like, yeah, it's all comes down to like your self-worth and or what your purpose or mission statement with that. And did I tell you about the machine thing we're gonna try, or that he does?
Oh yeah, you're talking about it.
Yeah, where it's just like you just tap into those traumatic memories from life.
Yep.
And then watch these lights go back and forth.
Right.
And it's supposed to like desensitize the memories or something, so it's just like easier to deal with them in life. Basically, not cause a panic attack or anxiety. For sure. You know.
Right.
And just think more positive about yourself. It's, I don't know. It's like Rob Dyrdek, you know, I'm gonna go get hypnotized for success. I'm like, dude, I need a, you know, maybe I'm blocking myself from it because of stuff like that, you know, like thinking you can't be successful, or even with this podcast, you know, where I'm like, yo, when I first started, it was for some reason like a fire, and then all these people jump on, you know?
Yeah, I mean.
And then it slows down and you're like, do I even keep going? Is this just,
Right. Well, I mean, that's just life. Like, you know, sometimes there's gonna be lulls and shit, you know, can't always be fucking going ham, you know, 24/7.
And it's not like I want that either,
but,
you know,
like,
keep a healthy balance.
For sure, something like this, it's pretty easy to just keep it consistent, you know, like knock a couple out every week or whatever, you know, like that's not a fucking lofty goal, you know.
Yeah, with the Zoom chats, it's way nice to just be like, yo, usually people are at home in the evenings or something, which I know it's getting late now, and I know you were saying you're getting tired because your days are early or mornings and stuff.
I'm good for now. For sure.
Yeah, dude. So you know, bro, that dude, when I was talking about that machine. So apparently the lady that came up with it was from trees, but swaying back and forth. But were you gonna say something?
I was gonna say I might get a cup of tea though.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
You want
man.
to pause it real
Yeah, I'll
quick?
pause it.
Word.
All right. Back at it.
Yeah,
Back at it like a crack addict. That always, it's the only line that always goes through my head with back at it.
for sure. Same. What is that from?
I have no idea. But you hear about the government crack pipes?
What?
I think it's, along those lines of supplying addicts with clean utensils or something.
Oh, right.
I don't know how that'll be. I mean,
Like government issued crack pipes.
I know. Yeah. I'm like, whoa, what are they going to do next? Government issued crack?
Yeah, dude. Fucking buy it at Walmart.
I mean, it would be better than what like dirty stuff that people are cooking out there.
Well, it'd be better if, like
it didn't exist. I'm just kidding.
Well, no, just
I'm
yeah.
just kidding.
It'd be better if fucking, I mean, yeah. But no, like just instead of making that, I think the whole idea of making those things legal is just so people can, like the real hardcore ones, just like so those people can get help instead of fucking just throwing them in jail,
Yeah.
like for sure, like if they do something while they're on that shit, then yeah, charge them for that. But I don't think you should go to prison for being a junkie, like that's crazy.
Yeah, and I guess it just depends on what all you're doing. Oh, and that's what these guys argue, like Dr. Carl Hart, I think is his name.
Mhm.
He got a degree in Columbia.
Right.
And I seen him on this dude's podcast, Aubrey Marcus, I think is his name.
Yeah, he's like the other half of On It.
Oh, he is?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's him and Joe Rogan. Yeah.
Dude, I actually tried some On It.
Really? Yeah.
The brain stuff.
Right. Alpha brain.
Right. Nootropics, man. I'm all about that stuff. I think it's, a good thing. Or
for sure.
I don't know. It can't help. Can't be bad taking vitamins for your brain.
For sure. Yeah. Just vitamins in general, dude. Like fucking yeah. You're not getting most of that shit from your food. Might as well.
Yeah, dude. I used to be all like kind of like, oh, punk rock, fucking vitamins. All I need is this Jack Daniels or what,
Right.
And later in life, I realized, shit, man, no. Or I'd wake up all hungover and be like, I need my fucking vitamins just to get back.
For sure, dude. Like, and I was thinking about that too when you're talking about just like, success and shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like taking care of yourself, like at least for me, like when I feel the best is when I'm doing all like the self-care shit, just like eating good and sleeping is fucking huge. But just all that shit, like when you're on just like a good flow of just like doing all that shit, you feel really good. And I feel like it's just easier to like create when you're feeling like that, just when you feel good.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely, when I'd wake up, I'm trying to get back into this pattern again where it's like I'd wake up and do like, push-ups and sit-ups, meditate for 5 minutes. I'd just do like whatever, even just, I want to be busting out 100 push-ups and sit-ups, but I'll just do like 25 or something.
Right.
And just be like, yo, I'm just getting a little like, get my body moving, and meditate would help, and do like whatever, some little like yoga type stuff a little bit.
For sure.
10 minutes or something.
Yeah.
But sometimes I don't do that. I don't know why. I just like.
Well, I mean, it's fun to procrastinate. That's
Yeah,
probably
for sure.
why.
It's like, I'm gonna watch some skateboarding on YouTube first.
For real. But no, like one thing that helped me with that, because you know, there's times when I was doing all that shit, and there's times where I wasn't, you know. But
Mhm.
the times where I was doing that shit was like, can't remember where I heard about it, but just like planning your day out the night before, you know, like
Mhm.
basically when you're going to bed, just plan your whole day out, literally like step by step. Like I'm gonna wake up at 7 or whatever. You know, drink some water, drink a glass of water, meditate for
Oh
5
yeah.
minutes, you know, take a shower, you know, go to work, whatever shit like that. But like
Yeah,
literally,
plan it in.
yeah, and just so like you don't even have to think about it the next day when you wake up, like, or like take your vitamins at, you know, after breakfast, shit like that. Like literally just plan it all out. So you just wake up and just look at your list and you're like, all right, I'm doing this. And then like you kind of have, it's good for like time management too, because you don't spend too much
That's
time
what I'm
like
trying to be
fucking
better about.
right.
Uh because even scheduling things out like music, when to release it for one, but even
Yep.
stuff like I'm trying to be more conscious of what I get done on a weekly basis or what I'm trying to get done like a week or a month.
Well, that's one thing that really does make me stoked about technology,
Mhm.
because that shit can help so much. Just like, you know, like watches, and like when they have the fucking just glasses that you could wear where it's like augmented reality type shit, like
When
that
they
it'll be
put it in their neck,
yeah. I
right?
mean, but just like wearables and just shit like around your house, you know, like
Oh yeah.
just having stuff visible at all times that's like kind of keeping you on task and like on time and shit like that.
Well, yeah, I do have some sort of like ADHD type stuff, where, and I find that all the time, and I'm still probably going to see a psychologist about it. Where I'll be like, man, I just so many different things going on, or even just in the mind, like, and to just focus on one task at a time, or take it one step at a time. Where I'm like, this is the goal, you got to break it down into each step. But like you
Right.
say, even if it's just your daily goals, because really that's probably what's going to change your life is your daily routine.
Yeah, dude, I for sure believe that.
Or not change your life, but just make your life flow smoother.
Well, I think it could change your life, you know, just like that shit goes a long way, you know. Just I mean, I think you're just more likely to be out there when like an opportunity arises if you're, you know, just
Kind of a little prepared or planned, or it's like, um, if you set your mind to kind of be ready if that situation presents itself.
for sure. Yep.
I guess that's one of the things when I'd run around with a backpack on and be like, yo, I got to get my CDs out to these guys,
Right.
and just give them away. And oh, dude, and that's what's so weird. That's why I'll talk to like professionals about this stuff now. Where I'm like, it's just really interesting the changes I've gone through in time. Where it's like, before I had accomplished nothing, and I was so hungry and like just like driven and motivated to be like, I gotta get out, boom, boom, boom. I gotta get out there and in it, and like no fear.
Right.
And it's not really that I have like fear of it nowadays, but after COVID and stuff like that, it really did change it. And after having experience and accomplishments and how that affects your life. And like we were talking about your peers and maybe what your peers think of you, and kind of how it can be a little alienating. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and I think in a way that goes back into just like different, just social circles in general, you know, and just kind of, it's like, you know, people say like, oh, that's fucking high school shit. But
Right, yeah.
like high school shit is just how humans are, like for real, like in the adult world, like people are on some fucking like petty shit.
Yeah,
you
dude.
know?
Okay, so check this out. I had kind of a rough morning. Well, the thing was, my daughter was in like a beauty pageant today.
Right.
Journey, and we had done one like right when COVID hit. And it was just like a small little thing, you know. So she was like 3 or 4 or something then. Like, sweet, you know, get together, feel good, you get a little trophy and prize. And I'm a little freaked out about it. But so today I was definitely like, we weren't it was kind of a last minute decision. And you know, it's just really about the fun. Something about the pageants kind of freaks me out, you know.
Right.
About the psychology, because I'm like, what was really stressing me out was I was like, well, she got a sash and a trophy before. What happens if we don't?
Right.
Get it now? Or what happens to the people that don't, if they don't win a prize? You know?
Yeah.
Or I'm not the prettiest. You know?
Right.
Like that shit. I'm like, I don't like this stuff. I don't like.
Yeah, that shit will stick with you for life, dude.
Exactly. And so we kind of people were having conversations about that a little bit today. And there's kind of that stuff where it's like, yeah, but they're just so young right now anyways. I'm like, that's why.
Right. It's not like you're an adult and like, I don't know, man, like it's so crazy how it's definitely like a nature versus nurture thing, you know, because some people are more resilient and you just like can't really explain why, you know, but like those things do form you even just like subconsciously and shit, you know.
Yeah, and I do like the things like with the interactions with other people and the, you know, kind of experiences you can have, or the fun with those things.
Right.
Comparison thing is, I mean, I get it, you know, but
right. Yeah, I think there is an argument to that too. Like at like, you know, like those super young ages, 4 years old and stuff, like I don't think they're not gonna think it's that serious, you know.
Oh yeah, for sure. And it was cool though. She actually won for her like thing. She won like the queen of it. And so there's like the opportunity to go to like the state finals or whatever.
Right.
And then they have like a national thing in Vegas.
That's crazy.
And I'm like, oh my God, this shit fucking scares me.
Dude.
Because you know me, man. I'm like, and I'm talking to my family about this. I'm like, hey man, look, everybody's a creep to me because of my childhood, like,
well,
stuff, or just, and I'm like, it's just kind of weird, man.
Especially at like a national level, like what?
Yeah, and I'm like, look, I don't want to go there and do all this and that and then lose.
Right.
You know, and that's, of course that happens, but you know, then it's just like, I know what it's like to feel those feelings too of, oh man, I lost and I tried so hard.
Yeah, and that is a little different though, because it's like based on your looks, there's not a whole lot you can do, you know.
Dude, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
You know, and I'm like, you know, everybody's beautiful, and you can see the beauty in people, but
Mhm.
it's like that shallow Hal type thing,
Right.
where if you have a beautiful soul or an ugly soul, or kind of just the way you are as a person,
Yep.
I think is kind of what your soul is. Like, not exactly, but your soul has a lot to do with probably your personality. Maybe
Mhm.
not. I don't know. That's probably not right.
Well, I mean, yeah, just I know what you're saying though. Like just your essence.
Yeah. Um, yeah, and I guess that's the stuff I'd be tripping on when the psychedelics, even,
Yeah.
especially, I still, and I do believe in psilocybin a lot.
Hmm.
And I would still like to, have more like ceremonial experiences type stuff with it. Like, I'd actually
Right.
like to be like, one day be like, yo, we're doing like a drum circle ceremony with like a mushroom tea or something, and not be like I used to be, where it's like, I got a big bag of mushrooms and I'm gonna eat them every day.
Right.
Like, I'm not saying microdosing or nothing's like bad or nothing, but I do have an addictive personality.
For sure.
There's something about the shamanism that I'm very attracted to,
Hmm.
and I think that type of stuff comes into play a bit.
Right.
I mean, what are your thoughts on all that stuff?
I mean, pretty much like pretty much the same, dude. I I feel like I told my mom this a long time ago. I was like, mushrooms can like, well, psilocybin, but like psychedelic mushrooms could save the world. And she was just like laughing at me, and I'm like, I'm fucking serious. Like,
They could.
you know, I mean, and it's not saying like um the whole world should have them, but
Right.
it just like if you just think about what they do to you and what they do to like just people, like groups of people, it's pretty fucking crazy, dude. And if that
Dude,
was like a recognized thing like worldwide, and it was just like, you know, encouraged in a healthy way,
they're like,
like
everybody in the world is going to eat mushrooms at the same time.
I,
And we are
I
going to transcend to nirvana. No.
no, dude, that would be not that. I don't know.
They'd be
I
like,
feel
oh,
like,
actually, the mothership is back. No.
yeah, I feel like some crazy shit would happen.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and that's the crazy thing about mushrooms, though, is especially if you're peaking on quite a bit of them,
Mhm.
I would like literally feel like uh, connected with everybody on the planet, almost,
For sure.
in a way. Like, there would just be this, maybe one, might be for a split second, which also kind of feels like forever
Yeah.
when you
I
hit
mean,
that weird state.
I always felt it in like pretty much in like a, not like visually, but like, Avatar, how they're like literally connected and they're all just like a tribe. Like those are the
Right.
vibes I get, is just like some like tribal type shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like like my tribal shit comes out, but like in like a strong sense of like,
Connection to the planet.
yeah, the connection to the planet and people, and just like kind of being aware of like who's good and bad, and just like, you
Yeah.
know, on some safety type shit.
Yeah. Vibes, man. But yeah, you can kind of feel that energy that's like, that takes me back to that soul idea, where I'm like, I think your soul or something, whatever this, what's up, dog? What's up, Mowgli? Like, I'm like, I feel like that's like the center of our vibrational field or something.
Hmm.
Or like, in
For
my mind,
sure.
I'm like, that's what, sometimes, especially when I'd be peaking on something, I'd feel like, oh, that's what not just I am, but like almost like everybody is some sort of like it all comes from like some sort of like almost like a God particle spirit molecule thing. I don't know.
For sure.
I don't know.
And
Maybe I don't know.
that's for me at least, like that's why I do like mushrooms so much, is because there is a kind of like comfort with that, you know? And
Yeah, there's the cat.
oh,
Buzz.
what's up? You
He'd
should
be
grab it.
oh yeah, Buzz, you come here.
Buzz.
Oh,
You escaped?
went behind my computer,
Oh, what?
jungling through the cables.
Yeah.
Yeah, the cats like to do that. I don't really like it, but I
No,
can't
dude.
prevent it.
When I had both those kittens, they'd be in the studio like jumping around back there, shutting off my power strips and shit.
No way.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah. The cat's cool though. Buzz is super chill.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know why he's so chill. My dog ain't being chill right now.
Right.
Let me give him back to my wife. Come here, Mowgli. Come on. Come here. Mowgli. Get it on. I didn't. No, I didn't. Oh, sorry about that.
All good.
But yeah, the dog. Yeah, man. How about the dog people? You're like, really, Jake? Going straight to the dog people. But you know those guys on Ripley's, believe it or not, that have like a hairy face?
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's the trip.
Dude, for real. I'm like, dang, there's something about that. I'd be feeling that, bro. I would feel like a werewolf sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Like literally, I'd be like, dude, something about the moon is making me crazy right now. Especially when I was like, you know, all boozed up and like, you know, jacked. I'd be lit.
For sure.
Like, I'm an animal.
I mean, I think there's something to that. Like, that is a time where you can, like, with the full moon out, you know, like it's pretty well lit enough where you could just go out and do shit. It's like just that vibe in general is like, fuck yeah, let's go fucking fuck some shit up in the night.
Dude, yeah, it is kind of interesting. And that's what, you know, it fascinated me about other things. Like say, you know, I say, oh, I was raised in also like the churches, but then
Mm-hmm.
also the Native American,
Mm-hmm.
which I was always fascinated with their beliefs with like nature and like the great spirit. And
Yeah.
just even okay, so then later when I would hear about like Wicca, and
Mm-hmm.
I was like, you know, because growing up in the church, they're like fucking witchcraft, the
Right.
devil's tools, you know. And it just was really interesting to me about like the elements and,
Mm-hmm.
and just kind of the power that all the elements kind of hold and what
Right.
they do is just pretty fascinating.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, that kind of goes into like, I mean, there's like conspiracy rabbit holes, and then there's like kind of like those scientific rabbit holes, like quantum physics and space type shit.
Dude, for real.
Those are the real trippy ones, because you know for a fact that it's like you know this huge unanswered question, you know.
Yeah, dude. And that's the strangest thing about life is like, okay, that's what gets me about the psychedelic experience too, where I'm like, it seems so like this, you know, it's about like when I was talking about the brain and how to, yeah, you could read all these books looking for answers, you know, or whatever. But I feel like these experiences you could have on like psychedelic trip, like you eat these mushrooms or something, and it would like, you're kind of like, whoa, was this already all in my brain? Or I would also, in fact, almost feel like the mushrooms were like almost like speaking to me or like relaying the information to me.
For sure.
And it would just like, I don't know if it was like not really like a download in my consciousness per se, but like I don't know what it was, but it just almost I don't know, strange.
I know exactly what you're talking about. It's like, I mean, I never really believed in the whole like 10% thing, because I mean, they have MRIs and they could see your brain lighten up in all these different areas. It's like you use, I know what the saying is like going for though, you know, and I do believe that. But yeah, I mean, it's like your brain has these capabilities, but it's, I don't know. I think some things kind of are just a perspective thing. You know, like when you really do believe you can do something, you're obviously like more likely to do that thing, you know.
Well, I believe I can fly.
No, don't do
believe,
that.
yeah, it got me into trouble in the past. No,
No, but that's like the main thing that they use to scare people too. Is like you'll think you can fly and jump off a building.
Yeah, and so that's what got me when I read those books like The Secret, where they're like your thoughts can create your reality more or some stuff like that. So then again, that's where I would like self-analyze myself and like try to pay attention to my thoughts. I once seen something about how they were doing a study about people if they could hear any sort of like, if they hear a voice in their head, like an inner monologue or like their own thoughts, like do you hear them or something?
Right.
And or it's weird how in your mind, like this can happen normally, but even in especially when I'd be on like acid or something, sometimes I could almost like hear, like it's like a memory recall. Like you can like, I hear my mother's voice or something. Have you ever heard anything like that?
No, but I've definitely heard music.
Music. Yeah.
Yeah. Has that ever happened to you?
Yeah. And again, like how you say it's like almost naturally. Like normally you also can. You hear
Yeah,
music in your head sometimes, like, I gotta go. This is a good melody I hear. I gotta record it.
for sure. And yeah, it's super weird because sometimes it'll happen like if I'm really tired and I'm just falling asleep.
You start hitting the delta waves or whatever. I don't know.
Yes, it's kind of like that. It's like something just gets unlocked and you're like, you're too tired to get up, but you definitely, like for me, I'll hear some shit and I'm like, damn, that's the best shit I've ever heard. Like,
Right.
and I just can't do, I won't remember it. I
You
can't
can't
do anything with
reproduce
it.
it. Like, damn it.
It's like that's too good. I'd never be able to play that. It's like,
Yeah, dude, there's something amazing about, and that's kind of what is still fascinating. I was talking about it today was, even with the meditation where you're kind of thinking about your thoughts and you're like, okay, are these thoughts in my mind? You're like, you have all these memories or something in your mind and you have these thoughts in your mind, but then you're getting like these thoughts from like other places. And even when I was talking to doctors and stuff, when I'd be in really depressed times, because I would obviously go talking about depression, and I was also abusing substances, so that was even darker. And I started to love it because I was like, yo, this is my solitude and my peace is within this intoxicated state.
right.
In the darkness, down a rabbit hole. Not a
Yeah.
good thing. But and then those almost like imposing thoughts would kind of come in where it's like the bad thoughts or like the suicidal thoughts or almost that self-worth thing where
Yep.
you don't, I don't know if it comes back to that inner monologue or your conscience or something where you know, almost hear those voices of like, you're not worthy, just give up, you shouldn't even try. Or maybe hear the good ones, you know, of like, you're good, believe in yourself, you know, I don't know.
For sure. Right. I, you know, like I hear both for sure. And sometimes it'll be crazy. It'll be like, like,
I definitely
like,
hear crazy voices too.
no, but not like,
Like cartoon characters like, hey, how you doing?
no, I just mean like, it'll be bad, like just some shit you would never say to anybody, or like, you know, you just do something
Oh,
dumb
true
and you're
that.
like, God damn it, I'm fucking retarded. Like,
Yeah.
I'm so stupid.
Dude, for real. And that's like goes into those self-esteem things like the beauty pageant stuff, where it's like, if you get that thought when you're a 5-year-old kid of like, I'm not pretty enough or something, and then go to sleep on that, and then if you go to bed the next night thinking about that, and then the next night, and then the next night, and then it just kind of carries on into like
Right.
teenage years or adulthood. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it's yeah, I think self-worth, like it's a huge thing. And I think with you know, there's self-talk and just your thoughts and stuff like that. But a lot of it, I think too, is just the things you're actually doing, you know.
Oh,
Because
dude, I'll have to force myself to go outside,
yeah, I mean,
which is kind of sad. Like, or, you know, when I hit those phases where I was like a vampire too, where I was like, all I want is red wine, the blood of Christ, and I don't want to see any sunlight. I want to stay in my cave all day. Yeah.
right.
I don't know why. It's just, it was like a dark phase.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing too, is like,
But I still have that potential to become that. So that's what I have to
right.
manage or something. He who makes a beast of himself hides the pain of becoming a man, right?
I don't know, what's that from?
Oh, that was a Hunter S. Thompson.
Hmm.
Like, have you ever heard Avenged Sevenfold, Bat Country?
Um, I might have.
Well, yeah, it's just that saying of, it just basically is along those terms of like, yo, I'm just not gonna take care of my responsibilities. I'm just gonna freaking get low to do whatever I want or whatever. Yeah.
Right. Right.
And
Right.
so I don't know, making those changes, you know, because obviously we've done stuff like that too. Be like, party hard sometimes, or
Hmm.
you know, and
For sure.
then having to kind of shift out of that, and
Yep.
just, I don't know, it's, some people can't do that or whatever.
For sure. Yeah. It's, I mean, it's, you see it with pretty much like, unless they die young, you know, you see it with all the older, bigger artists, you know, like they all eventually get clean.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, like, so it's kind of like you have to eventually, you know, and not like, you know, not get clean, but just like you have to start taking care of shit eventually, you know.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's I don't know, interesting what life is like. And dude, so when I see the therapist and this stuff, it really, I honestly, people might be like, Jake, you're fucking don't even think about that. But I honestly, dude, am still like fascinated by Scientology.
Hmm.
And I'm just like, you know, you think of Tom Cruise. If you ever heard of the story of when Seth Rogen met Tom Cruise?
um I'm not sure.
And it's like, fuck, I don't know if this story is real or nothing, but he was just saying that, you know, they got on the topic of Scientology, and he's like saying that Tom was like, And it's just, it blows my mind to believe that this is actually the way it is. Like, once I learned that this is the way life actually is, I was just like, no way.
Right.
And it just, because in my mind, I'm like, I like know a little bit about what they are got going on. I mean, I obviously ain't never been through their shit.
Right.
And there's definitely something going on. I'm like, yo, celebrity center, this is where you guys are like producing celebrities or something.
Right.
Like, okay, when I make up these jokes about, oh, I'm gonna make this cartoon about how Hollywood is manufacturing celebrities, I'm like, no, that's really what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's just interesting how, you know, like I've said, I've felt similar things like that, where it'd be like, say if I was out of my mind on drugs and alcohol or something, and I act like a maniac, I'm like, I would have never acted like that if, but I was like, I would feel like a possessed person
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, or sometimes I would feel like almost like multiple, I don't know, some people might say, oh, spirits or thetans or souls, and I think thetan just means souls or something.
Mm-hmm.
But or it's like the chakra stuff where they'd say, oh, there's all this stuck energy in you.
Right.
And sometimes, like, say on the mushroom trip, I would be like, whoa, I would almost feel it kind of clear out or something. I don't know.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, call me crazy, but I feel like mushrooms and humans, it's like a symbiotic relationship.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it feels like something you're meant to have, you know.
It does, actually.
Like the very first time I ate mushrooms, I was like I was like, man, I was like, God put these here just for us, like just to have this experience.
Dude, it
That was
almost,
like my first revelation on mushrooms.
dude, it literally, to me, it feels like, okay, all this stuff, I'd go to church and they say, God is this or God is that. And I was like, dude, on these mushrooms, you could like, I don't know what God is exactly, but I felt it.
Hmm.
Whatever it is, I could feel like in tune with it
For sure.
again. And it almost feels like it just like makes you feel like, oh, it's actually always like this. I'm just aware of it right now.
Well, you kind of realize it too when you know, like you have a good trip and your mind is kind of like rolling with that, you know, like the afterglow for the next however long.
Mm-hmm.
And then just life shit starts happening and piling back on.
Mm,
And you kind of see it once it's like a month down the road and you're like stressing about some bills or some shit, you know, and then you're like so just kind of like tunnel vision just on life, you know. And
for real.
it's easy for that shit to happen, but you know, you really don't even, you don't need mushrooms to like to get back to that spot, you know.
That's true. It's almost like a cheat code type thing. Like that's the way I would feel about, uh LSD or something, where I was like, yo, it's just a cheat code. Like you could meditate for 10 years to reach this state, or you could,
Right.
you know, take this drop
Yep.
and hit it in like fuck it 3 hours or something. Be like, I see the mandalas, and then it just comes right back to, maybe you don't even hit that level. I don't know. Everybody's different. And that's why I even want to just talk more with other people on this podcast
Hmm.
about stuff like that and their experiences, because like it's one of those things, you can't contain it, you can't put it in a bottle, you can't take a picture of it.
Yeah.
People will kind of recreate it when they make those like visuals of
Hmm.
Mandelbrot tests or whatever,
Right.
and that's, I don't know, it's just like, it's, you can't capture it and then prove it.
For sure. I mean, I think Because there are psychedelic experiences that have nothing to do with eating anything, you know, just like certain life things, like, you know, having kids, that's psychedelic,
Yeah.
you know.
Even sex can be psychedelic.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah, that oneness of like, yeah, for sure. And just the chemical stuff in your brain.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah, I mean, and every once in a while I'll just get not like flashbacks, but like you'll just get that vibe of like it's almost like a realization just kind of out of nowhere where you're like, okay, you know, like you kind of have those same realizations as you do when you're like tripping on some mushrooms or something,
yeah.
but it's just from some life shit, you know, and you're like, damn, that's kind of like it's that real shit, you know.
Yeah, that real life, like how magical life in itself is.
For sure.
Like we just get be like, yeah, life is life. Life, like, what are you talking about? Life is life. You go to the store, you buy a t-shirt, make sure you get some food, and
Yeah.
you know, you wear shoes. No, unless you're an aboriginal.
Yeah.
But yeah, just those things. You get stuck in like the matrix, I guess they would call it.
Hmm.
Of yeah.
Well, I mean, it's crazy too because all of that shit is man-made. Like every single one of those things, like that keep you locked in and boxed in or whatever with that tunnel vision, it's all just shit people made up, like jobs and waking up and alarm clocks and bills and fucking getting gas. Like all that shit is just like shit people created.
Daylight savings time
Yeah.
is tomorrow.
Oh fuck. Okay. Yeah. See, so like just, you know, when that's all you're thinking about, all that type of shit, it's, you know, you do every once in a while gotta like just let your mind go somewhere, you
Unplug from
know.
all that stuff. Yeah. Yeah, and that's what's amazing about, you know, why people, there's those people that are like, yo, I live in the city, you know, and I work for a magazine company. I need my Starbucks and, you know, my
Right.
Frappuccino and just stuff like that. And I only shop at the Gucci, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's people out there that are like, yo, I live on a self-sustainable ranch. I make all my clothes
Yeah.
out of animals I've killed. Yeah.
For sure.
I
Yeah.
make my own soap.
I appreciate both, but I'm definitely more drawn to the making your own soap type shit.
Yeah, dude. That self-sustainability is definitely an amazing thing. And that's what was scary about COVID was the production plants. If these, you know, if they're not able to produce stuff or ship stuff,
For sure.
stock up the stores, because that's our life, is the corporations rule us or something, where it's like you gotta go buy your food at the Walmart or
Right.
or that's where you get your clothes. That's basically where you get everything. No.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, it's just amazing how reliant we become on society, you know.
For sure. I mean, like my cousin, she's not like a prepper, but she's stocked up on pretty much everything, you know. And she'd be like, man, we need to go shopping. And there's like, you know, mad extra of shit, but she's like, she just doesn't like running out or even the idea of running out, which is super smart, you know, like definitely if you can afford to do that, I think you should. But yeah, like that's what's crazy about all that type of shit too, is like it's all based off of like fucking like stocks and shit. Like it's basically just people's belief in a company. Like if someone's attitude towards a company changes, and like that goes public or something happens, like people's attitude towards it changes and it's worth less money. Like, how does that even, or even like,
Yeah, Elon Musk hits the blunt.
yeah,
Like, oh my God.
but even shit
Pothead.
like you know, the Great Depression, basically people running, getting money out of the banks, you know, because they're scared that the stock market is crashing, and then it causes the stock market to crash. But pretty much just 100%. Yeah, just because people are scared, like that can cause a fucking.
That's another reason why I don't even pay attention to like the Russia, Vladimir Putin stuff. I'm like, I should, and I should be like, oh, I'm afraid there's gonna be a war and we're gonna get bombed. But a part of me is just like, you know, we'll probably be okay.
Dude, did you watch Don't Look Up?
Yeah, that was a great movie, and they do make it to like another planet.
Oh, I know, right?
They're all naked.
Yeah.
And then the whatever those things were, the ostrich aliens or something.
Yeah. Yeah, it was, I thought it was a good movie, man. Like, and I thought it was pretty crazy too that just all of the actors that were in it, it was like mad fucking stars in that. And I'm like, dude, they're like, they're trying to get people to notice this movie.
Yeah, it's okay, so what they were talking about, oh, there's a giant asteroid coming to the planet, and wait, there actually was, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, I've heard Armageddon scared the shit out of me when I was a kid. I was like, are you kidding me? There could be a giant asteroid coming to destroy the planet. Are you fucking kidding me? We could die any moment. Yellowstone's gonna blow up. Are you fucking kidding me?
For sure, dude.
Y2K, the computers are gonna shut down. There's gonna be no electricity. We're all gonna die. Or 2012.
Right.
And all these things would like get me worked up and like actually create like anxiety, paranoia, and fucking then it would kind of like pass and like I don't know. So I'm not saying no doomsdays are impossible, but you just get kind of like jaded to them.
Yeah, I mean, and as far as like,
and then Rona hit. And that was like the biggest one for me where I was like, maybe the fucking world is ending.
Yeah, well, that's what I was gonna say is as far as like psychedelic experiences go, like dying has got to be one of the most psychedelic experiences, right?
Oh yeah.
And just the idea of dying, like the whole planet dying at once, like that
Would you even notice?
I mean, but if you've seen it coming though, like if you've seen the asteroid coming and like everybody knew and shit, like that would be such an insane fucking,
like, oh, here it comes. All right, everybody,
yeah,
get ready
I
to
mean,
I don't know,
that's
whatever happens next.
That's what that movie's about too. And at the end when they're all sitting around talking at dinner, you know, and they're like not really talking about it, they're just talking about their day and shit, but they all know they're gonna die in like a couple seconds, you know. Like that shit was fucking pretty raw, dude.
Dude, yeah, I one of our old music videos, Space Signals, Living the Dream. It was like I just put a bunch of the footage we got on Vision Quest pretty much.
Right.
But that's what I ended it with for some reason, was like just green screened in and like an asteroid hitting the highway from our windshield.
Oh, right.
And I don't know, it's just that yeah, dude, that feeling. And honestly, dude, I would feel like this way peaking on psychedelics even, where I would almost feel like almost that Armageddon apocalypse feeling of like, I would almost feel like it happens like almost every day in a weird way. I don't know why I would think that. But when whatchamacallit hit COVID, I really started to feel in this weird state. And so this is another thing I talked to the therapist about. And even after, say, near-death experiences or whatever, say you would hear these people on the internet that are like, oh, your straw man, your birth certificate, it's actually, you're registered as like a dead person or something like that. Have you ever heard that?
I think so.
Where they're like, yeah, your birth certificate is actually like something about you're dead, or I don't even know what it was. But so I was talking to the therapist. I was like, well, eventually after all this stuff, after all this research, psychedelic experiences, trying to find understanding, I was like, I just couldn't tell if I was living in a dream or if this was reality and I was awake, or if I was in a simulation, or if I was in a hell, or I'd feel like, oh, this is my afterlife.
Right.
I was like, yeah, I'm dead actually. But I'm like, God, it just fucked with my head where I was like, people
Right.
study this stuff too. So it just is very confusing. And it's just like one of those things I don't know if we'll ever have an answer to,
Yeah. I mean, it's it's a crazy thing because you know that it's coming, but
I know, dude, it's like the worst. You're like, that's why these people are trying to enter simulations where they're like, my consciousness will not die, or
right.
I don't know exactly what, but there's that fear of death.
For sure. And I honestly think that, like, just, I don't know what happens, but to me, what makes the most sense is like, you're spread back out into the universe, and
Yeah.
you're not there anymore. And your essence or your soul or whatever that is, isn't that just energy too? Because you're not going to be like, you're not going to be confined in a human body and a human brain. Like whatever that
Right,
is,
yeah.
whatever that energy is going to like go into other things and become other things.
Dude, yeah, that's when I started getting fascinated with the reincarnation stuff, where it wasn't just about, oh, you go to heaven or hell forever.
Right.
That was something that also scared me in church. That itself, where, oh, you could go to hell forever if you're bad. Like, what's bad? If you drink alcohol, are you bad? Or if you like have sex, are you bad?
Right.
You go to hell forever? Or like, how do you get into heaven? What makes you so pure and so good that you can actually get into heaven?
Right.
Or then, that's when I would get into the reincarnation stuff of like, well, can you get to some sort of realm where you can choose, like a video game of like that one Duncan Trussell cartoon? Yo, my avatar, I'm gonna go be a squirrel.
Right.
And then I'm gonna die, and I'm gonna be spread out and come back, and then I'm gonna go be like, fuck, I don't know what the limits of reincarnation could be, but
Right.
but it's just kind of another one of those things where I'm like, fuck, once you start imagining and thinking, it just gets a little bit like limitless.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, and it's weird because like you are experiencing your life through your eyes and your consciousness, and that's all like that's all you're going to experience. But how do you know that? I don't know, like I kind of think whatever the consciousness is, that's what's the same with everybody. Like we're all part of that thing. Like whatever that thing is it's just one thing, but it's inside all of us. And the things that make us different are just the human things, like our brains and our bodies and our cultures and all that, you
Yeah.
know.
Well, and so what's fascinating about that when you say like you see through your eyes, and this is where it's like can be kind of dangerous territory of, you know, maybe like the megalomania and narcissism type stuff, which I will deal with too, especially even after psychedelics, where people be like, yeah, you have no ego. I'm like, yeah, but you can also develop a very inflated ego and think you're God,
Mhm.
like actually God.
Right.
Kanye West, I'm a God, you know?
Hmm.
And then it could put you into this weird state of like you feel like you're the only person that creates reality and that everything is only because you exist that everything else
Hmm.
exists
Right.
or something. And then that's when it's like, well, no, actually Bobby, he can see out of his eyes and he has a soul or something.
Hmm.
Like basically I've found that people have this idea, and I've delved into that realm of like people would say, oh, I see these other people like NPCs.
Right.
And that's kind of dangerous to
Hmm.
think that way.
For sure.
Because it's like, okay, if they're an NPC, then how do you know that?
Right.
So what, you can
Yep.
just go bop them on the head and nothing's gonna.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing too, is, you know, if it is a simulation or whatever, um, you still kind of have to, you know, you can't Rick and Morty it and just run off the grid. And, you know, he's like, look at him, he's got no social security number.
Yeah. You're never gonna escape the matrix of it.
For
I think
sure.
that, I mean, when you die, maybe.
Hmm.
But then again, that's where I've read into these other beliefs. And I think I may have almost had some experiences with near death stuff. But some people believe, and I probably talked to you about this, and I'll let you go here soon since you're getting tired.
For sure.
But so some people believe that the moon, they'd be like, yeah, the moon's not just a moon or something. They're like, they believe it's like a soul trap. So the
Hmm.
flat earth is when I would go down the rabbit hole I'd be like, what's this flat earth about? Then it would lead to these people that would believe that when you die and you are like spread back out, and I don't know, your soul is going back out into the universe, that there's almost like these tricksters out there that'll be like, no, you don't get to go over there, come right here, and hold on, look at this paperwork here, your
Right.
karma, you owe us, look how bad you were or something, you got to go back and
Right.
look at this, you got to check these all off the thing.
Yeah.
You haven't been like, look how you treated your grandmother or whatever.
Right.
I don't know, just stuff like that. So there's that weird belief that people have, and it's like, man, once I started to like look into this, I'm like, man, there's mass amounts of people that have this belief.
Hmm.
This is crazy.
For sure.
And it just kind of, I'm like, yo, I'll just turn it to some inspiration, some put into music and creative stuff. Try
Yep.
not to get hooked on the truth.
Sure. Yeah. I you know, I kind of came to that conclusion, and that's basically what I do too. Like, I'm still into that shit because I'm just that type of person that is like, you know, wants to question things or whatever. And but I did come to the conclusion that like just trying to figure out what's true or not, you know, that shit is like you just I try not to put so much weight on what I believe, you know, like because
Believing in yourself is probably the most important thing.
well, yeah, like for sure, man. Because you only have so much belief, and you gotta, you know, you gotta dole it out onto things that actually matter, or like things that you could actually change, you know.
Yeah, because I mean, what if all that happens when we, pass or whatever is like, I don't know, like depending on the state of your consciousness or vibration, it might determine what vibrational wavelength you're on or something. Like if you're in a really bad place and you're angry and you're like overdosing under the bridge,
right?
I don't know, you're probably not gonna, you might go to, I don't know where you're going, I don't know, but it probably might be coordinated or relative to that vibration you had.
For sure. I've never, that's a crazy way to think about it.
Instead of just, because you know, some people be like, I would have these thoughts, I hate to admit it, but I'd be like, fucking hate my life so much, maybe if I just kill myself I could just start all over again, and then it would clean the slate.
Right.
Or that might be what other people think too, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But then I would be like, no, don't do that, don't kill yourself, like what the fuck is wrong with you? And do you think that you're really going to go to somewhere better? What if you go somewhere worse?
Right.
And yeah, so if people out there listening, do not kill yourself.
For real.
Don't commit suicide. Crip Mac would say the same.
Yeah, I mean, there's that documentary of like the bridge jumpers in San Francisco, and because it was just like a major problem where people were jumping off that bridge.
Why? Just because they're hit at depressing points in their life, and
yeah, they're trying to kill themselves. But some people survived, and they would talk to these people, you know. And one thing that stuck with me was one person was like, they're like, yeah, as soon as I jumped, I realized that, you know, all my problems were solvable, except for the one I just made, which was jumping, you know. So like, there's always a chance to change shit. It might fucking suck and it might whatever, you know, but like the option is there and it's possible to change shit. You know, if like the things that you're depressed about are, you know, just shit, just life shit, you know, like anyone can
I owe
improve.
these bills, or somebody cheated on me, or I cheated on somebody that I love, or whatever, or
Yeah.
you know, whatever, you just spent all your money on gambling and now the Chinese mafia is out to get you. I don't know.
I mean, like if it's crazy, then yeah, like you might want to stress, but
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's a lot of shit is just, you know, built up in your head, and it's kind of a snowball effect after so long of like not taking care of your shit. And
it caught up with me eventually. I was like, for some reason I was like believing in karma, and I was like, I'm so good, I'm such a great person. Dude, there's been moments in my life where my ego would be like, I actually think I might be the greatest person on the planet. I might be the greatest person to ever live.
Right.
And then you're like, what the fuck is wrong with where are these thoughts?
Right.
He's like, oh no. But yeah, it was like I was running away from my karma, you know, and thought I could actually outrun my karma.
Right.
And eventually it caught up with me, and I was like, oh fuck.
For sure.
And it was like that's when I was like, dude, the universe or God or whatever you call it, the energy is so powerful. That's why I was like, the ripple effect of like, yo, for me, it's like one of those things, like if I decided to drink a beer, then it could send me on this ripple effect of, in 6 months, I'm just going to end up, you know, down another bottle of Jack Daniels and eating acid and Molly and staying up all night or whatever. Or just that ripple effect of, I don't know, how you do something 5 years ago, and then somehow the universe just makes its way back around, and then it fucking, you're like, how did this even happen? Like the way it's like mysterious. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah. One thing in that book, Atomic Habits, what he talks about is like your identity and like different habits, how they either, they shape your identity one way or another, like good or bad,
Mm-hmm.
and if you have a good habit, and it kind of goes into the self-talk thing too. It's like when you form that habit or as you're forming it, but you tell yourself like, I'm the type of person that does this. Not that like, not that you're doing it, but like you're the type of person that does that. Like I'm the type of person that wakes up early and whatever.
Goes jogging.
Yeah. Like, and that's kind of what you think too. Like that is part of the satisfaction of like just doing shit like that and making time for those types of things, is you do kind of feel like an imposter when you're like starting out and shit. But after you get some like you get some time under your belt, you're like, yeah, like this is what I do. And that I don't know.
Yeah, dude, I completely understand, because again, I would hear these things, and when I would like be on acid and looking into this, MK Ultra and trauma-based mind control, and how you could have this split in your consciousness from trauma in your life, and how it could split. It's probably when people create like split personalities or alter egos and stuff. And so when I would self-reflect on myself and be like, okay, I create this other like space cowboy superhero alter ego, or like you're a rapper, you choose your rap name, you become that rapper. You're like,
right.
Yo, I'm a young jumpy and I'm on stage jumping around, and that's what people know me for, or whatever.
Right.
And it's like, yo, you used to be that like shy, quiet kid that nobody talked to.
Yeah.
Now you're young jumpy.
Right.
And so yeah, it's just interesting. It's almost like I would hear Jim Carrey say those things, like he's like, all my life I've been playing Jim Carrey, or shaping your own identity about who you really are. And now that's something I've been wrestling with myself, because I would hear it from other people in my life. Like they'd be like, are you actually being your authentic self? I'm like, what is my authentic self?
Right. I
mean,
mean,
what is our, it's just, I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's, like, what it's like to be around people who you just, for a fact, like, you don't have to worry about what you're going to say around those people. You can say whatever, and they're just going to be like, whatever, like it's, so just being yourself, like, it's a weird thing to be like afraid of, because there's been times where like I'll have something to say, but I'm like, I'll just be quiet,
Right.
and like, you don't really let yourself out like that when you see other people who are just so fucking like arrogant and they don't give a fuck, like, and you're like, damn, like I'm not even trying to say anything bad. I'm just like saying something normal to like add to the conversation, but I'm like, I shouldn't,
Dude, true that. It makes me think of when we did that one festival. I can't remember, the Crystal Phoenix.
Right.
And I was thinking about that time when that guy gave us a guitar. He's like, I'll sell you this for 87 cents. And it was like a beat up, literally smashed, broken guitar.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck, I should have actually bought that.
Right.
And because I think he's like, I'll give it to you. And I was like, no, I'll keep it.
Right.
Because I was like, dude, this thing's like art. But yeah, so at that festival, I was saying, okay, so we pull into that town, Hot Springs, Montana, at a little gas station. And I just remember we stepped in there, and the kid working the register is like, oh man, I wish I could be like you guys. I was like, what?
Right.
He's like, you just be yourself and live your life or something.
Yeah.
We must have had bright colors on or something. I don't know.
Right.
But that was the first time, for some reason, that it really occurred to me how other people perceive, you know?
Well, yeah, it's all relative too, because you see other people like just really go, like getting out there and being loud and shit, and you're like, man, I wish I could be like that. But then there's other people who look at you and they're like, oh, I wish I could be like them. And then there's probably
Right.
people who look at them and they're like, oh, I wish I could be, like it's
Right,
all
yeah.
relative. There's always someone who's like, but there's
Well, I guess that's the thing, is not wanting to be like these other people.
right.
We can't help it, because it's like I'm like, oh, I want to wear that shirt too. I like those shoes.
Right.
But
But yeah, I mean, just those are like attributes that people are attracted to, so there's nothing wrong with like wanting to be like that, like just being
you
being yourself.
inspire.
Yeah, and just saying what's on your mind without even, without being
Yeah,
scared.
like us getting on here and talking about psychedelic experiences and stuff like that. Some people, that was hard for me to ever come to be like, I could share this with people.
Right.
And because it's so like demonized too.
For sure.
But
Yeah,
dude, I'm super appreciative that we got to chat again, for sure.
for sure, dude.
Like,
Oh yeah.
I'm getting back into my groove with this thing now, so trying to do it more often. And
Word.
so I'll just stay in touch with you. I like doing the ones every week or couple weeks or something with you, and touch base.
Yeah.
And yeah, dude, it's mad love. I can't wait to actually get together again in person.
For sure, dude. Yeah, I'm thinking like, at least once it starts getting nice out or something, we gotta link up.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we'll be posting up here. I don't really plan on traveling a bunch this year, but I
Right.
do want to go around and do some kind of skateboard stuff. But again, so when I was talking to you about the skateboard competitions, that's another thing I trip on. I'm like, do I really create a competition? Is that going to be good? Then there's kind of like winners and losers, sort of, or
Right.
because, and then I'm like, I don't want to make people feel bad, but I want to incentivize them to like push themselves or have something to
For sure.
strive for.
For sure. I think it's good. It's good for the people that win, and it's good for the people that lose, because like I said, everyone's gonna take that shit different, and you don't lose if you don't try. How many it's good to fail at shit. I think it's good.
I definitely want to get something so everybody gets something. It's like, everybody, but I do want to have something where it's like, I do want to do those things. And I've thought this about the beats too, sponsoring people. Cause I'm like, I don't really want to sign people.
Right.
But I would like to do sponsorships one day, where it's like, if you find a good artist you like to work with and you're like, hey, I'll do a little sponsorship and give you like 10 beats. Or something like that. Just whatever it is to kind of just incentivize people to want to work together.
For sure.
And feel like there would be a good outcome working together. So
yep.
We've always had good outcomes working together.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we're going to have plenty more.
Definitely. Hell yeah.
Well, shit, I'll let you go, brother. I appreciate it. We probably talked for like an hour or something. Maybe longer. I don't know.
It's probably a little longer.
2 hours, probably, actually, now that I think about it.
Yeah.
It was like 7:45.
Hell yeah.
One day we're going to talk for 24 hours straight.
Yeah.
Break the world record. That's probably they probably did like a 5-day podcast somewhere.
For sure.
Well, hell yeah, brother.
Hell yeah, bro.
Much love.
Love you, bro.
Yeah, love you too. And I can't wait to link up in the real world. But thanks for doing the Crossroads podcast. And
For sure.
we'll get back on our groove again.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm
All right, man.
thinking Saturdays are good.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we'll just stay in touch.
Word. Hell yeah, brother. Sounds
All right, bro.
good.
Have a good night, man.
Word. You too, bro.
All right, peace.
Later.